Recently, I've been getting into 100% completing the games in my Steam library. That means getting all achievements the developers set out for the game. Because this is usually a long and involved process, I figured I'd share my journey through the first game I decided to 100%, one of my favorite games of all time. Here is how I 100% completed Monster Hunter World. And Iceborne. Quick note, if you want to do this yourself, most of what I tell you will apply to all consoles, since achievements are the same across platforms. There is some PC quirkiness at some points that I will mention when it is relevant, but that aside, it should be the same for you if you're not on PC. So, Monster Hunter World. One of my favorite games of all time, played it religiously during the pandemic, clocked in an absurd amount of time between hunting, chilling, and recording footage for videos. I don't really know what started my idea of 100% completing it after so long. I was just sort of in a slump and needed something comfortable and familiar. I also wanted something to do while I listened to podcasts, since I had gotten pretty heavily into Behind the Bastards. I really recommend it. So I figured, what the hell, let's see if we can do this. Step 1 was figuring out how many achievements I actually still needed. World and Iceborne together have 100 trophies, equally split between the base game and the expansion. To my delight, I already had 75 out of those 100 achievements before I started this challenge. That may sound like a lot, but let's look over the ones that I already had. 16 achievements you get just by playing the game and progressing the story. They are completely unmissable. Another 2 are not technically mandatory for story completion, but the story will naturally guide you into doing them, completing the Clutch Claw tutorial and entering the Guiding Lands for the first time. So, that's 18 done already with no dedicated effort. Then, 37 of the trophies I already had were tied to what I would call natural play. These achievements do not ask you to do anything special or unusual, and can be unlocked just by playing the game without rushing it. Trying out various types of quests, continually upgrading and farming armor and weapons, hunting a decent variety of monsters, doing all the things a Monster Hunter game usually entails will net you most of these achievements naturally. Some of these do ask you to do things you might miss, catch a fish, visit a hot spring, cook a steak, etc. But realistically, if you explore and enjoy yourself, you'll find these as naturally as I did. Then, there are 15 achievements I obtained through what I would call extended play. These require a little more work, and the only reason I had obtained them without trying was that I simply played a lot of Monster Hunter World in the past. These are things like hunt 500 monsters or reach Master Rank 200. Not that hard, just time intensive. However, there were some achievements that I was really surprised to see I already had. Namely, 4 of the rare pet achievements. In the game, there are rare endemic creatures that spawn randomly under specific conditions, and each one gives an achievement when caught. I must have just spotted them from the corner of my eye at some point and taken the opportunity. Go past me! Well done. Lastly, I also had 5 achievements tied to online play. I played through the game with a friend and later again with my girlfriend, so these were basically free, and if you play a lot of online, you'll get these as well. I was only missing 1 of these online achievements, and don't worry, we'll talk about that one later. So, with 3/4 of all achievements already in my pocket, I felt pretty confident that this would be a relatively quick affair. There were no trophies associated with update exclusive content, so I didn't even need to bother with the difficulties of Alatreon or Fatalis. So, in absence of those challenges, surely those last 25 achievements would be easy, right? Anyway, I started my 100% journey by doing what most people probably do, googling 100% guide Monster Hunter World. The guides I found were the Steam community guides for Base World and Iceborne by Brachragon, which include illustrative videos from the channels GamingwithAbyss and PowerPyx. If you'd rather just check out those guides instead of my journey using them, they are all linked in the description. Shout out to them, I really would not have been able to do this without their work. I had to start somewhere, so I figured I'd first go for the observation logs. If that name means nothing to you, don't worry, it didn't to me either. At the start of Iceborne, you're given a camera mode option that is actually tied to a questline, in which this guy here asks you to take pictures of various curious corners and occurrences in the world. He gives you a list of things he wants you to see. You go out and take pictures, and then bring them back to him for a variety of rewards. This was a system I entirely ignored across my playthrough, so I had neither of the two achievements associated with this mechanic. The first one is really easy. Fledgling Observer pops when you complete the first of these requests. The fact that this achievement is considered super rare should tell you a little about how many people actually bothered with this questline. Unfortunately, in order to get the second one, Outstanding Observer, you have to complete many requests. In concrete terms, you need to complete around 20. There are more than 20 requests in the game, so you do have some freedom in choosing which requests you do and which you ignore. However, 20 is a large enough number that you will inevitably have to do at least a few annoying ones. Also, since most of these revolve around photographing the indigenous cat tribes of the various maps, you should also have completed the quest lines for each tribe before doing this, so you have access to their hideouts and to all of their possible interactions. Luckily, I'd already done that. As far as difficulty goes, these requests vary greatly. In some cases, it's as easy as going to a tribe hideout and waiting a few seconds for one of the cats to do a specific thing. In other cases, you'll be reloading a map over and over again because you need a specific breed and color of cat to spawn, and then you have to lure a monster to them, and then mount the monster, and then take a picture of that specific breed of cat trapping the monster. So yeah, this one was a bit of a wake-up call, cluing me into the fact that some of these trophies were going to be extremely obnoxious to get. But I managed in the end. After the annoyance of the Observer questline, I figured I'd take some quick wins to restore my motivation. There were 4 achievements I was missing that weren't associated with any major task. First, there was Experienced Rider, which you get for using Raider Ride circa 20 times. So, I just made it a habit to call in a rider buddy whenever I thought of it, slowly and inconveniently making my way through maps on these beta palamutes. Next, there was Architectural Artist, which requires you to collect 120 pieces of furniture or other customization options for your home in Celiana. This was another mechanic I had mostly ignored, but luckily getting furniture is as easy as just completing a few item deliveries. Again, easy peasy, got that dopamine rush from the trophy pop very quickly. The third one was Nowhere to Go But Up, which tasks you with completing 50 arena quests. These are the hub arena quests, where you get a pre-made set of armors and weapons and are judged on how fast you complete them. Not to be confused with the special arena quests, which do not count for this achievement. This was a quest type I had, again, mostly ignored, so getting all the way up to 50 was a bit of a slog. Luckily, you don't need to complete 50 different quests. You can just find one that you like and grind that one over and over. In my case, I speedran this Kulu around 40 times, because he deserves it. The last one of these, however, actually gave me a significant amount of anxiety. Spreading the Word was the last multiplayer achievement I was missing, and requires you to receive 50 guild cards from other players. The reason this worried me is because unlike all of the other achievements I had to obtain, this one was entirely out of my control. All I could do is hop into online lobbies, send people my guild card, and hope that they reciprocate. And to their credit, most people did just that. I really do love how cooperative this community is, a real testament to how online gaming does not have to be toxic. But I was getting impatient, and thanks to the guides linked in the description, I knew of one way to cheese the last 10 or so cards that I needed. This achievement doesn't actually check if you received 50 different guild cards, it only waits for you to have received a card 50 times. So one way to do this is to get another player, in my case my girlfriend, and have them repeatedly send their card to you, while you repeatedly delete and re-accept it. Within 10 minutes of this, I got the trophy. A major worry dealt with. Re-energized, I was ready to go for another series of achievements. This time, those tied to endemic life. As I mentioned previously, these trophies relate to rare critters and pets that can only be found under certain circumstances, such as only spawning in the rain or between night and day. I already had a few of these rare boys, but before I went out to look for the rest, there were two general achievements related to endemic life I wanted to bang out first. Iceborne introduced size variation to endemic creatures, and so, you get one achievement for finding an ultra small and one for finding an ultra large pet, respectively. Since capturing pets is easy, quick, and unlimited, the strat here was to just run around maps like an insane person and mass catch rabbits and ants with the net until I got the small and large crown sizes. 2 achievements done, without much hassle. Wow, these crown size achievements were actually quite easy. Sure hope that stays a trend. The individual rare pets, however, were more of a pain, unfortunately. I had to start somewhere, so I first set my sights on the Prism Hercudrome. This cool beetle can spawn on any map in specific locations, but only at dusk or dawn. Since there isn't an easy way to set a specific time in Monster Hunter World, I waited around until it was dusk, and then just repeatedly checked the spot in Area 1 of the Ancient Forest. It wasn't long before I found it. 1 pet achievement down, 6 more to go. The next critter was even easier. The Gold Spring Macaque, a gold variant of the little monkeys that appear near the hot springs in the Hoarfrost Reach. Usually, you'd also have to just reload the map again and again until you find it, but Capcom decided to have mercy on me here and released Monkey Business, an event quest where you hunt a Rajang in the Reach. This quest has a 100% guaranteed chance for these golden monkeys to appear, so I just started the quest, nabbed a little golden boy, and then retreated with the achievement in hand. Did you like how easy that one was? Good, cause it's the last one. This next pet was the second closest I got to just giving up on this 100% completion rubbish. The Bristly Crake, the rougher, uglier cousin of the Downy Crake you've probably seen before. This birdie, just like its prettier cousin, only spawns very rarely on the back of small monsters. In this case, on moss swines in the Rotten Vale and Gastodon in the Elder's Recess. Just like its cousin, the Bristly Crake will escape if it sees the player, so you have to approach it with the Ghillie Mantle. However, there is one key difference. The Downy Crake had received a bespoke event quest in which it was guaranteed to spawn. That's how I had gotten it during my initial playthrough. No such luck for the Bristly Crake though. All there was to do was to reload a map of my choice, mostly the Rotten Vale, and check the back of pigs over and over again. I got a lot of podcast listening done while doing this, let me tell you. But eventually, I found a little shit and got him. Phew. The next 2 were not nearly as annoying to get, but they still took some time. The Sea Lord's Crestfish can only be found in Viper Kadachi's cave in the Hoarfrost Reach, and only at night. This was notably more pleasant than the last grind. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I actually really enjoy fishing in Monster Hunter. I got kind of addicted to it when I played Monster Hunter 1 earlier last year. Anyway, after a few attempts, I got the big boy. The last endemic creature I needed from the regular maps was the infamous Wintermoon Nettle. Like all other rare endemic life, the nettle has specific spawn conditions: nighttime and clear weather. But what makes it such a pain isn't the randomness by itself, but rather the location. The nettle only spawns in a single spot in the Hoarfrost Reach, at the highest peak near the Kushala skin. This spot is really annoying to reach, as it's pretty far from most camps and requires you to go through a little platforming section every time. It's not hard, just obnoxious. Anyway, you've certainly heard this song and dance before, so I won't drag it out. I ran up and down the mountain until I found the stupid jellyfish. All that remained were the molies. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I don't blame you. I didn't know about them until this challenge either. Molies are endemic creatures entirely exclusive to the Guiding Lands, and they come in 7 variations. A basic moli that can appear anywhere, and then one type of moli for each of the 6 regions of the Guiding Lands. You get 1 achievement for catching a regular moli, and then another one for catching all 6 region-specific molies. There is one major problem here. I had, at this point, 800 hours in the game, many of which were in the Guiding Lands. And I had never even seen a moli. They are quite rare, and only spawn in regions that are level 5 or higher. Allegedly. There was a lot of conflicting information online, which also didn't help. But I figured I should just get started and began surveying the Guiding Lands. I found a group of regular molies soon enough, and managed to nab a bunch of them at once. But the real grind would be the region-specific molies, a grind I was already dreading. And then something weird happened. I decided to first check out the forest region, since that was my highest level Guiding Land zone. After a while of loading and reloading my map, I found it. The Mossy Moli, my very first unique moli. So I captured it and immediately got the achievement? So yeah, for whatever reason, this achievement unlocks when you catch just one of the 6 unique molies, despite what its description says. This might be a PC-specific bug, or it might be a generally misleading description. Either way, I wasn't about to complain. And so, I had finally gotten all endemic life achievements. I initially thought that the only thing left to do now would be the grind that shall not be named. But there was actually one other category of achievements I had to get before that. And oh boy, was it a slog! The Iceborne expansion was quite massive, and added various new features to the game. So many in fact that I had completely missed some of them, as you've seen in this video so far. That also includes paw swapping and treasure hunting. 2 mechanics I had sort of heard of, but had never really thought about until I noticed that there are 3 achievements associated with them. The basic gist of it is this. Once you have high enough friendship with the various cat tribes, you can fast travel to their settlements and trade with them using a sort of minigame. Sometimes, the cats will trade clues that lead towards buried treasure in that map. So, you get 1 achievement for the first treasure you find, 1 achievement for finding all 10 treasures in one map, and then a final achievement for finding all treasures in the game. This was, as you can imagine, way easier said than done. First of all, in order to even unlock the paw swap trading, you need to have your unity with that tribe at level 6. I had started on leveling unity a little bit because I wanted all of the Palico gadgets, but generally I was sitting at around level 2 with most of them. Your unity levels up a tiny amount every time a tribe comes to help you on quests. The best way I found to farm this was to load into a map with the wide range skills slotted in, have my cat call a tail raider using the Boa Boa tool, and then drink a potion. Thanks to the wide range skill, the potion I drink heals all nearby allies as well, including the tail raider. This counts as cooperation and levels up the unity with the local tribe a small amount. So I just kept traveling to each map, calling a tail raider, drinking a potion in front of them, and then vanished just as quickly into the next map. This was really tedious, but it worked. Next, once Paw Swap is unlocked, you have to trade with the cats until they randomly give you a treasure clue. This is mostly straightforward. You just offer the cats items and then observe their body language to see if any of them like what you're selling. You can only trade 3 times before having to reload the map though, so that's annoying. But I usually got the next clue within a reasonable amount of time. I did genuinely try to figure out the treasure locations by myself at first, but for a lot of them I did end up relying on the guides. I gave it a fair shot in my opinion, but I also knew that I could not afford to get too frustrated yet, considering the worst was still to come. At the end of the clue you find a treasure and boom, first achievement. Now repeat 60 times and you're done. This was actually less annoying than I expected. While it was definitely tedious and kind of boring, I was always making progress. If I sat down for an hour to treasure hunt, I knew that at the end of that hour, I would have advanced my goal tangibly, since there isn't really too big of a random element here. That, however, cannot be said for the last leg of this journey. The grind that every Monster Hunter fan knows, and generally avoids like a plague. The dreaded wall that discourages most casual achievement hunters from 100%ing any Monster Hunter game. Crown hunting. Now, if you've never played a Mon Hun game before, or only played it a little bit, this may not mean much to you. Here's the gist of it. Ever since Monster Hunter Freedom in 2005, monsters in these games can spawn at varying sizes. This is a purely visual variation, and serves no purpose other than to simulate the natural variety you'd get with real animals. However, should you find an exceptionally large or small individual of a monster, that will be marked in your hunter's notes with a crown. Silver for pretty big or small, gold for the smallest or biggest possible, or at least close to that. And for a few years now, Monster Hunter games have rewarded players that manage to encounter both small and huge gold crowns for every monster in the game. The grind for this feat is what is known as crown hunting. In Monster Hunter World, there are a total of 8 achievements associated with crown hunting, 4 of which I already had at the beginning of this ordeal. Meeting your first few gold crowns is not that difficult, and will happen naturally as you spend a few hundred hours in the game. But these 4 remaining achievements are a different story altogether. In order to get them, you will have to have hunted almost every monster at both small and large gold crown size. The only exceptions to this are Behemoth, the Leshens, Zora Magdaros, Xenojiva, Kulftaroth, Shara Ishvalda, and all Iceborne title update monsters. That still leaves us with over 60 monsters that we have to grind for crowns. There are some shortcuts that can help us, but more on that later. If you've been keeping count, you might realize that these 4 crown achievements won't actually get us to 100% yet. There are 3 more that we need. One of these is Monster Master, which tasks you with maxing out the research for almost every monster. This is another annoying one, and I included in this section because I decided early on that I would do it simultaneously with crown hunting. The list of monsters you need for Monster Master is actually the same as the ones you need for the crowns, so it just made sense to me to combine these two grinds. These 5 are the last active achievements we need to hunt for. The last 2 are basically formalities. 1 we get for completing all achievements related to Base World, and then the final one we get for getting all achievements related to Iceborne. So, with 5 more achievements to actively pursue and 2 passive achievements to look forward to, I set out for my final grind. So, how do we actually look for gold crowns? Short answer, we don't. Crown sizes are entirely random, with gold crown sized monsters being the rarest variation. How rare depends on specific quest types. In World, they do not appear at all in any low rank quests and are also unavailable in Base World optional quests. They also don't appear in story quests, since those have fixed monster sizes. Aside from these exceptions, however, they can appear in any gameplay scenario. Investigations, event quests, master rank optionals, guiding lands, you name it. Event quests are your best friend here, as they can be a shortcut for some monsters. Crucially, there are 16 guaranteed crown quests, where the target monster will always spawn as a predetermined crown. So, for example, the Jagras in The Greatest Jagras will always be a large gold crown. These quests are indispensable for cutting down this grind. But they still aren't the ultimate antidote to the grind either. There are only 16 of these, and most of them only give a large or small gold crown. After completing the Greatest Jagras, you're still gonna have to find the small gold crown Jagras some other way. There is, however, another kind of event quest that can help us here. The Concert Quests. These are multi-monster event quests where you fight nearly all native monsters of one map, one after another. These quests have an increased chance of spawning gold crowns. How increased? Well, for all of these target monsters, the chance of a gold crown appearing is a whopping 12%. Yep. Aside from guaranteed crown quests, this 12% is the best deal you're gonna get. And mind you, these quests do not cover all of the monsters you need. Additionally, as these are multi-monster quests, you might get a gold crown monster you already have while not getting one you still need. An issue that is just going to get more obnoxious as you fill up your list of completed crowns and need more specific targets. As I said though, this is the best deal we're going to get. The next best option is investigations with 4 gold rewards, which are rare to begin with, mind you. Their chance of spawning gold crowns is a massive 6%, oh come on! Any other quest type seems to have its crown chance hover at around 2%. One oddity here are the guiding lands. I kept feeling like I was getting really good luck with getting crown monsters while hunting here, but as far as I could find, there doesn't seem to be any consensus on whether or not they have increased crown chances. With these flimsy support pillars laid out, there really wasn't anything to do but knuckle down and get grinding. There is a reason crown hunting has such an infamous reputation in the community. There simply isn't an easy way to do it. While one half of my brain is in agony over there, fighting 70 Kushalas in a row, I'll use my other brain half here to briefly talk about the one non-crown achievement I was still working towards at this point, Monster Master. Maxing out research for all monsters sounds daunting, but in reality, you'll get most research levels to full or near completion just by playing the game, especially if you go for completion like me. So by this point, the only monsters that were left for me to fully research were the annoying ones, like Kirin. To level up research, you have to find tracks, but not all monsters have an equal chance of leaving tracks in the first place. So, Kirin, for example, only leaves very few researchable tracks, meaning that more effort is required to level it up. There are some tricks here though. The Surveyor's Charm is a charm that you can craft that comes with Scoutfly Range Up and Scholar, two skills that greatly speed up research leveling. With this boy equipped and draped in a ghillie mantle, it's mostly just a matter of stalking monsters for a while and collecting any and all tracks they leave. So while this too can be pretty tedious, it's also a nice change of pace from crown hunting. Speaking of which, oh god, I'm still going, huh? Okay, let me explain a little more about why this is such a chore. For one, there is no way to tell if the monster you're currently fighting qualifies as a crown until you've beaten it. Sure, you can look at it and whisper, "Big boy," but more often than not, you'll just be looking at a large one, not a crown-sized one. There is a technique called crown sniping, where you use your character's height in relation to various body parts on the monster to vaguely measure its size and ensure that you're actually hunting what you need to, and don't waste time on non-crown monsters. This is apparently a pretty good method, and the guide I used recommended it over straight grinding. But I just could not get this to work for me. My visual estimation skills are just that bad, I guess, because I never managed to make a good call and just kept running after monsters to look at their legs. In the end, I figured committing to the grind was just gonna be what I had to do. There were a few small time saves, like returning from a multi-monster quest after slaying the monster I needed, but overall, I just had to do this the hard way. And I did it! By God, it took me forever, but in the end, it was just a matter of perseverance. And so, as I collected my final gold crown monster, the achievements began to pop, and voila! 100% completion in Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. So, what did I gain from this experience? First and foremost, while there were many parts that felt tedious at times, this challenge allowed me to spend more time with one of my favorite games of all time. Of course, I coulda just played more World without this ordeal, but going for that 100% gave me something to work towards, so my playtime felt less aimless, I guess. At the same time, it sorta gave me closure in a sense. Like I now know I have done everything there realistically is to do in Monster Hunter World. It feels like a real ending to a long journey. But more than just that, this has really given me a taste to go for that 100% completion in other games as well. I've already completed 2 other games while making this video, and am almost done with a third. Let me know if you'd like videos like this on those ones too, by the way. Going for 100% can be a bit of a grind, and I'm already noticing how cruel some games can get with the requirements. But it also feels immensely satisfying to get this much out of a game I own. So yeah, overall, very happy with this challenge. I never want to see that fat bastard Kushala Daora ever again. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I know this is a little different from what we usually do on the channel, but this 100% journey actually kind of took over my life for a little bit earlier this year, so I figured I'd share it. A very special thank you to all of our patrons, including Ronger97, Quali, Elzendo Carlo, Matthew Chung, Big Bento, My Name Gone, The Dollarfish, Yamiroth, Andre, Ryan Hook, Veraxis, Thick Kuroneko, Zion H.V. Augenson, A.J. Rivera, Alistair, Jacob Bennett, Soruka, Gengratist, Sir Newt, Emperor Eevee, Rambling Robin, Hashi, Black Ace 202, Dissy, Hubbo Himbro Mirror, Magenta, Danilo Villavicencio, Arcturian 711, Russell, Person 212, Claire Miboon, Oak Wood Tree, Mr. Pyramid, Makot02, Project Iceman, Geo, Jamie Tate, Nils Schlatter, Iron Camel, and I'm going to bed. Take care everyone, and I'll see you later. Bye bye!